I want to take a moment in this video to pause and see how much he's changed. Because before they leave Sinai, we see a Moses that is totally transformed compared to the Moses we met in chapter 3 at Sinai when he first encounters Yahweh there. Remember back in chapter 3 when God told him, go back to Egypt and confront Pharaoh. And Moses said, who am I that I should go to Pharaoh? His eyes were completely on himself. And by the end of that encounter in chapter 4, he says to Yahweh, please send someone else. By the end of the book, we see after the golden calf story in chapter 32, we have a crisis, and Moses' response to this crisis is so illuminating. In chapter 33, verses 1 through 3, Yahweh said to Moses, leave this place, talking about Sinai, you and the people you brought up out of Egypt, and go to the land I promised on oath to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, saying, I will give it to your descendants. And then God says, I will send an angel before you, but I will not go with you, because you are a stiff-necked people, and I might destroy you on the way. Based on the golden calf episode, where God's anger was aroused because of the people's unfaithfulness, God is having second thoughts about going with the people to the promised land. It might be safer if he stays at Sinai and sends them on ahead, because then they won't be so close to his presence, and the proximity won't become dangerous because of their unholiness. Moses is not having it. Moses' response to this is so fascinating. He says to Yahweh in verses 15 and 16, if your presence does not go up with us, do not send us up from here. Moses would rather spend the rest of his life camped at the mountain in the middle of the wilderness. And by wilderness, we need to be picturing a desert, an arid desert with very little resources in terms of food and water. Very few trees for shade. Like, this is not a vacation destination. And Moses would rather spend the rest of his life at that mountain, if that's where the presence of God is, than leave it. He says, how will anyone know that you're pleased with me and with your people unless you go with us? What else will distinguish me and your people from all the other people on the face of the earth? Moses has come to understand that the presence of God with them is the single most important thing about them, and that they can't survive without it.